Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Let's be honest, there are things most men sense but can't quite explain. You walk into a room, have a conversation, or even share space with her, and something just feels different. Not wrong, not bad, just changed. Subtle shifts in energy, mood, presence, and you wonder, did something happen? As Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That quote couldn't be more relevant right now. Understanding feminine energy, especially after intimacy, is not about control or judgment. It's about awareness. It's about knowing when her energy has shifted, when something has changed, and what that might mean. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're present. You might notice a shift in her energy. She's there, but not fully. She smiles, but there's a slight distance in her eyes. It's not always obvious, but it's real. And if you're a man who values honesty, emotional clarity, and protecting your heart, then learning how to read the room without accusations or assumptions is a powerful skill. Now let me be very clear. This isn't about control, this isn't about shame, and it's definitely not about keeping score. This is about self-awareness for you. It's about understanding feminine energy, emotional residue, and the human signs that linger after closeness. As the philosopher Lao Tao said, he who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. What we're diving into today is not just about her. It's about you. About tuning your awareness so that you're not misled, not overly trusting, and not blind to the energies people carry with them. Social media teaches us how to perform, but it doesn't teach us how to observe. And in love, in connection, observation is everything. Today, we're exploring 5 subtle signs that may suggest a woman has recently been physically intimate, not in a loud, obvious way, but in soft emotional shifts, quiet cues, and changes that reveal more than words ever could. This is grown man awareness, emotional maturity, and whether you're dating, in a relationship, or just learning how to better understand the feminine, these insights will help you protect your heart and connect more deeply with what's real. So if you're ready to see beyond the surface, if you've ever felt something you couldn't explain but wished you understood, stay with me. Today, we uncover 5 signs every emotionally intelligent man should know. Let's go start. Number 1. Her emotional availability feels muted. There's a kind of silence that speaks louder than words. You sit across from her, maybe talking about ordinary things, the weekend, work, dinner plans, but something feels off. It's not what she says, it's how she doesn't say it. Her voice is there, but her warmth isn't. Her smile lands, but it doesn't linger. Her body might be present, but her spirit feels distant, guarded, quieter than usual. That's the moment when her emotional availability feels muted. And as a man, especially one in tune with your emotions, you feel it before you fully understand it. It's that unspoken space between connection and withdrawal. Sometimes this change happens when she's recently been physically or emotionally intimate with someone else. Her emotional focus has shifted, even temporarily, and she may not even realize it herself. But as the energy between you both subtly changes, you'll notice her curiosity about you wanes. Her responses become shorter. She avoids deeper eye contact. The playful affection that once felt spontaneous now feels forced or entirely absent. This isn't necessarily about betrayal or infidelity. It's about recognizing when emotional closeness has been redirected. We live in a world where emotional multitasking is common. Texts from multiple people, days full of options, endless stimulation from social media. So when a woman pulls back, it's not always intentional. But for the man who is present, who values emotional intimacy, this shift is something he cannot and should not ignore. The philosopher Rumi once wrote, Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure. The pain of feeling her pull away isn't just discomfort, it's information. It's a sign that something has changed. And while many men react with overthinking or people-pleasing to win her back, the wiser move is stillness, awareness, observing the moment for what it is, not what you hope it still might be. Emotional availability is not about constant communication. It's about presence. It's about feeling like you are seen, not just tolerated. When that begins to fade, it's your cue to pause and reflect, not because she owes you more, but because you owe yourself clarity. Today's dating culture often teaches us to push through emotional discomfort with distractions. But masculine strength isn't found in ignoring your intuition. It's found in trusting it. Not in accusations, but in observation. Not in begging for connection, but in honoring the one you offer. If she's muted, let her be. If she's distant, don't chase. Allow space for truth to rise. Because emotional truth always finds a way to surface, especially when you stop trying to fix what was never yours to repair. Because sometimes the strongest thing a man can do is recognize when he's being slowly disconnected and have the courage to walk toward his own emotional clarity rather than beg for hers. Number 2. Her eye contact avoids depth. They say eyes are the windows to the soul, not just a poetic metaphor, but a reflection of our deepest emotional presence. When a woman is emotionally and energetically connected to you, her gaze tells you. It's not just about looking at you, it's about seeing you. And when that eye contact begins to shift, when she starts to avoid holding it, when her eyes glance past yours instead of resting in them, it's a quiet sign that something inside her has moved. This isn't always deliberate. In fact, it's often subconscious, but that's what makes it so telling. When someone has recently shared emotional or physical intimacy elsewhere, they may feel guilt, confusion, or simply emotional saturation. And one of the first things to go is the ability to look you directly in the eyes with the same depth and ease as before. The weight of unspoken emotions makes that space between your gaze feel heavier, sometimes even unbearable. You'll notice it in small moments. She used to hold your gaze during laughter, in silence, during affection. Now her eyes shift quickly when things get quiet. She looks at her phone more. She scans the room. She avoids the emotional gravity that eye contact naturally creates. In a society trained by fast scrolling and filtered personas, genuine eye contact is rare and powerful. When she starts avoiding it, it may be her way of protecting herself from vulnerability or protecting you from what she doesn't want to admit. Either way, it's a cue, a reflection that something emotional inside her has changed. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But I'd add, we also have 2 eyes, not just to see the world, but to feel what words don't say. And sometimes the eyes reveal more truth than any spoken confession ever could. This doesn't mean you should accuse her. It doesn't mean she's done something wrong. But it does mean that energy has shifted, and your job as a man is not to chase, fix, or beg, but to notice, to be emotionally aware enough to observe without reacting in fear. A woman avoiding deep eye contact could be dealing with internal conflict, emotional disconnection, or even guilt. And instead of leaning into her space when that happens, the strongest move you can make is to lean back into your own. Real connection can't be forced, and when the eyes pull away, the heart often follows. But so does truth. Your awareness, your stillness, creates space for what is real to rise. So if she's avoiding your gaze, don't panic. Just see it, and let that truth shape your choices with grace, strength, and emotional maturity. Number 3. Her physical presence feels like absence. You've probably heard the phrase, "She's here but not really here." And that couldn't be truer in moments when emotional energy begins to fade or shift. When a woman has recently been intimate with someone else, or is emotionally elsewhere, her physical presence may remain, but her soul starts keeping its distance. She still sits next to you. She still replies to your questions. She even smiles. But it's the kind of smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. It's polite, surface level, automatic. Something about her feels distant, disconnected. As if her body is there, but her mind is walking in another memory. This isn't about being distracted for a moment. We all have bad days. This is about a consistent pattern of emotional dislocation. You feel it in her hugs. They're shorter, less tight. You feel it when your hands brush. There's less response. You feel it when you laugh, and she no longer laughs with you the way she used to. The space between you may be inches, but it feels like miles. In truth, emotional energy lingers, especially after intimacy. It's not always about betrayal. It could be confusion, regret, guilt, or even emotional exhaustion. But the result is the same. She becomes more of a presence in the room than a person in your heart. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once said, "The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have." And in that kind of emotional absence, what you're feeling is not just her pulling away, but the loss of a future that felt once close. Modern social media often glorifies detachment as a form of empowerment. We see TikTok telling women to stay unbothered, move in silence, never show weakness. But when someone's truly emotionally invested in you, there is no pretending. Vulnerability has to be part of the equation. So when all you're left with is her shell and not her warmth, it means she's not emotionally safe with you anymore, or she's given that part of herself to someone else. Don't ignore that intuition. Your body knows before your brain accepts it. You'll feel the change in the air. Her touch won't land the same, her words won't echo like they used to, and the silence between you will get louder. This isn't about making accusations or falling into insecurity. It's about emotional intelligence. Being a man who can discern emotional absence before it becomes emotional damage. Not to control her, but to protect your own peace. So when you feel that absence, don't beg her to stay present. Instead, ask yourself, what do I deserve? Do I want someone physically near but emotionally gone? Because the strongest men are not the ones who hold tighter to fading energy. They are the ones who can let go, gracefully, firmly, when real connection is no longer being returned. Number 4. Her communication becomes vague and uprooted. When a woman is emotionally anchored with you, when her heart is fully engaged, her communication reflects that presence. It's grounded, specific, intentional. You'll notice she texts with warmth, responds with detail, checks in not just to say hi, but to stay connected to your inner world. But when that connection starts to fracture, when her energy has been redirected elsewhere, especially after recent intimacy with another, her words start to lose depth. Suddenly, her messages feel like filler. Conversations that once carried soul now sound like, "Hey, sorry I was busy," or "just tired." You ask how she's feeling and get a one-word reply. You ask what's going on, and she says nothing really. But you feel it, you know something's different, something's missing. This shift is often subtle but profound. Her voice may still speak, but it no longer resonates. It becomes performative, not connective. And it's not always about deception. Sometimes it's confusion, guilt, conflict within herself, but the result is the same. She's no longer speaking from her heart. She's editing herself, holding back, hiding between lines. As Rumi once said, "The words we speak become the house we live in." And when a woman's inner house has changed rooms, when her emotions are somewhere else, her words become echoes instead of doors. You'll feel like you're talking to her, but never really with her. In the age of social media, where everyone is talking all the time, it's ironic how rare real communication has become. Filters, captions, vague replies, they're all shields. And when intimacy has been shared elsewhere, the weight of emotional transparency often becomes too heavy to carry. So, what does this mean for you as a man? It means you must listen not just to what is said, but to how it's said. Tune into the energy behind her words. Are they rooted in care or obligation? Do they open up space or shut you down? When a woman becomes emotionally unavailable, her language reflects that detachment. She may avoid direct eye contact, delay replies, use fewer emojis, speak in generalities instead of specifics. And while none of these are proof on their own, they're signals, pieces of a bigger emotional puzzle. It's easy to dismiss these things, to gaslight yourself into believing you're overthinking. But intuition is a form of intelligence, and emotional clarity comes to those who honor what they feel. The philosopher Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you value loyalty, clarity, emotional intimacy, then don't settle for vague replies and half-heated conversations. Because love that's real doesn't hide. It speaks freely, boldly, with presence. So when her words start losing color, losing meaning and losing heart, ask yourself, is this still a conversation or just noise? Because you deserve connection, not confusion. Number 5. She avoids eye contact or physical closeness without explaining why. Intimacy creates a kind of emotional residue, a trace of vulnerability and energy exchange that doesn't simply vanish. When a woman has recently been physically intimate, especially with someone other than you, her body may begin to unconsciously guard itself. One of the most revealing signs of this shift? She subtly begins to avoid eye contact, shared space and organic physical closeness, without giving any clear reason. This isn't always dramatic. In fact, that's what makes it so powerful. It's not that she suddenly becomes cold or distant in an obvious way. It's in the micro movements. She shifts her body slightly away when sitting near you. She doesn't lean into hugs the way she used to. When you look into her eyes, she looks away just a second too soon. It's small, subtle, but deeply telling. Why does this happen? Because eye contact, true, sustained, emotionally present eye contact, is a gateway to the soul. It holds space for truth. When someone carries unspoken conflict, guilt, or emotional confusion, the eyes often can't hide it. So they look away. They blink too much. They smile with their mouth, but not their eyes. As philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. That subtle withdrawal from your gaze or touch. It's often driven by an internal emotional conflict she hasn't resolved yet, and may not want to confront. In a healthy relationship, proximity and eye contact aren't just acts of affection, they are indicators of safety. When those start disappearing without reason, it's rarely about mood or busyness. It's often about emotional shift. Now, this doesn't mean she doesn't care about you. Human emotions are messy. People make choices out of confusion, trauma, even temporary loneliness. But your job as a man isn't to accuse, it's to observe, with calm, with strength, with presence. Modern culture has trained us to ignore our intuition, to gaslight our gut. But deep down, you know the difference between closeness and polite distance, between shared space and tolerated space, between real intimacy and emotional vacancy. If she suddenly avoids your touch, or only accepts it in a lukewarm, emotionally checked-out way, listen to what her body is communicating. Often our physical behaviors reveal what words try to conceal. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Her behavior is colored by her internal world, and when that world is shifting even silently, her presence will change. You don't need anger. You don't need accusation. What you need is clarity, and the courage to accept what your senses already know, because you deserve truth. And truth always speaks, even when the lips stay silent. Conclusion. What we explored today isn't about pointing fingers, it's about understanding energy, about tuning into the often ignored language of emotion, space, and silence. When a woman shifts after intimacy, whether emotionally, physically, or energetically, it's rarely about one action, it's a ripple, and if you're grounded enough, present enough, and emotionally intelligent enough, you'll feel it before you even understand it. As Rumi once said, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. These signs we've discussed, the muted emotional availability, the sudden distance in eye contact, the change in how she shows up, they're whispers, not screams, and only the man who listens without judgment can truly understand what's going on beneath the surface. This isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about becoming aware. You see, the modern world teaches us how to speak, post, share, but not how to observe. But as a man navigating love, connection, and emotional intimacy, your power lies in observation, in presence, in self-respect. Because the moment you choose to trust your intuition over appearances, everything begins to shift. If this message resonated with you, if something deep inside clicked, then don't just keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below if you've experienced any of these subtle shifts, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because every week we dive into truth that most people are too afraid to talk about. Thanks for watching, stay aware, stay grounded, and as always, protect your peace. I'll see you in the next video.